Hi students, today we are going to discuss about the tubular absorption, or it is called also tubular reabsorption, and we are going to see about the tubular secretions also. So objective of this class, so first of all we have to know about this, what is a reabsorption and why there is a reabsorption takes places and where exactly it will be present, what is the mechanisms, how it will happen and when. So when it will happen. So we are going to be see one by one. The first, the tubular reabsorption, is the process by which water and other substances are transported from renal tubules back to the blood. Whenever there is a glomerular filtered flow through the tubular portion of the nephron, both the quantitative as well as the qualitative changes will occur. So there is a large quantity of water, more than 99% electrolytes and other substances are absorbed by the tubular epithelial cells. The reabsorbed substances move into the interstitial fluid of renal medulla, and from here there is a substance move into the blood in peritubular capillaries. So here we are going to see about this. So water and other substances are transported from the renal tubulus back to the blood. So this is a tubular reabsorption. I hope you will understand. So what is a tubular reabsorption? So nothing is that. It's a simple process of which water and other substances are transported from the renal tubules back to the blood. Actually it is normally it is presence in the blood. The fluid will be presence of blood. Due to the filtration, it's going towards in the renal tubules. So whenever there is a decreased amount, so it will be just reabsorbed. Again we just take back from the renal tubules to the blood. Okay, have it clear? So now next we have to move to the reabsorption. So what are the needed? So for example, the body will be needed. So whenever there is a body will be needed some types of the substances, that some types of substances or some amount of substances only will be reabsorbed in the tubular part. For example, the tubular reabsorption is known as a selective reabsorption. The essential substances such as glucose, amino acids and vitamins are completely reabsorbed from the renal tubules. So if there is any decreased amount of the glucose in the body, or amino acids will be decreased or vitamins will be decreased, so it will be reabsorbed by the renal tubules. So there is a selective reabsorption. You cannot be able to reabsorb all the substances. It will be just selective reabsorption will be takes places. So the unwanted substances like the metabolic waste products are not reabsorbed, and as well as is going to be excreted through the urine. It cannot be able to reabsorb. So that's why that's why it's called as a selective reabsorption. It be just takes us whenever there is any essential substance such as glucose, amino acids, vitamins. These are things only going to be absorbed from the renal tubules and bring back to us in the blood. Okay. Next we are going to see the mechanism, how will be just reabsorbed. So what are the transport mechanism will be helpful to just making the reabsorption. So basic transport of mechanisms involved in tubular reabsorption are the two types. One is a active reabsorption and also passive reabsorption, which means we already be seen in the general physiology, like is the active transport and passive transport. So same thing we are going to just appear here also. So there is a active reabsorption and passive reabsorption. It reabsorbed by active and passive transport. So now we have to come to know, so what are the substances it is reabsorbing by the active transport, and what are the substances which just comes under the passive transport. So first of all we are going to see about this active reabsorption. So active reabsorption is the movement of molecule against the electro chemical gradient. Otherwise, it's called as a uphill movement, isn't it? So it is a uphill movement. It needs a liberation of energy which is derived from the ATP. Okay, so now we have to come to know, so what are the substances reabsorbed actively? So here some I have to just mention the some of the substances here, like as a sodium, calcium, potassium, and phosphate and sulfate, bicarbonate, glucose, amino acids, ascorbic acid, uric acid, and ketone bodies. So these are substances it is actively transported. So there is other is called the actively reabsorption. Okay, next we are come to the other side. There is a passive reabsorption. I hope you already know about this. The passive is a passive transport, isn't it? So same thing here. The passive reabsorption is the movement of molecules along the electrochemical gradient. This actually is called as a downhill movement. So this process does not need any type of energy. So now what are the substances that be reabsorbed by the passive transport? So there is a substances reabsorbed passively, or is a chloride and urea and water. So there's a three substances will be this transport passively in the passive reabsorption. So so next we are going to see about the site of reabsorption. It is a actually I hope everybody know about the part of the nephron. This is called as a after the Bowman capsule there is a proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and connecting type, isn't it? So now we are going to see also where we exactly the reabsorption takes places. So reabsorption of the substance occurs in almost all the segments of the tubular portion of nephron. So here first of all we are going to be see what are the substances will be reabsorbed from the proximal convoluted tubule. That's how I have to mention the PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. So about of the filtrate, or about around 88% of the reabsorbed in proximal convoluted tubules. The brushed border of the epithelial cells is a proximal convoluted tubule is to increase the surface area and facilitate the reabsorption. And so what are the substances? Now we have come to know what are the substances will be reabsorbed from the proximal convoluted tubule, or as a glucose, amino acids, sodiums and potassium, calcium, bicarbonates, chlorides, phosphates, urea, as well as uric acid, and finally water also. So these are the substances it be just a reabsorption comes under the proximal convoluted tubule. Next we are coming towards the loop of Henle. So this what are the substances here? So sodium and chlorine. These two substances only will be reabsorbed in the loop of Henle. So next we are going to see about the distal convoluted tubule. So what are the substances will be reabsorbed here? The sodium, calcium, and bicarbonate, and finally water. So these are the substances is going to be reabsorbed in the distal convoluted tubule. Next we are going to see about the substances wise. So now for example sodium. So I hope I told already. So the sodium will be just absorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay. So the maximum part will be produced in the it will be reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. So isn't it? So we are going to see about this sodium reabsorption. So where is going to be exactly reabsorbed in the tubular area. From the glomerular filtrate, 99% of the sodium is reabsorbed. The 2/3 of the sodium is reabsorbed in proximal convoluted tubule, and remaining 1/3 other segment except the descending limb of collecting ducts. Sodium reabsorption occurs in the three steps mainly. That's how I just mentioned here is a transport from the lumen to tubular epithelial cells, and transport from tubular cells into the interstitial fluid, and transport from interstitial fluid to blood. These are the three steps. The first will be just transport from the lumen to the tubular epithelial cells. After the reach the epithelial cells, so it's going to just reach towards in the interstitial fluid. After the reaching the interstitial fluid to transport towards in the blood directly. So this is actually a process the sodium reabsorption takes places in the proximal conductive tubule, and because there is a maximum amount of the sodium which is reabsorbed in the proximal conductive tubule. Next, we are going to see about this reabsorption of the glucose reabsorption. The glucose will be completely reabsorbed in the proximal conductive tubule. The tubular maximum of the glucose is called as a TMG. That is the secretion of male and of female. It is transported by the secondary active transport, is a sodium co-transport mechanism. Glucose and sodium bind to common carrier protein in the luminal membrane of tubular epithelial and enter the cells. The carrier protein is called as the sodium dependent glucose co-transporter, or is called as the SGLT2. From tubular cells, glucose is transported into medullary interstitium by another carrier protein called as a glucose transporter 2. That is called the GLUT2, that we are going to see in the for the slides. And now we are going to see also what is the tubular maximum for glucose. In adult male, the tubular maximum for glucose was 375 milligram per minute, and this female there is a 300 milligram per minute. So this will be maintained the glucose reabsorption takes place in the proximal conductive tubule. And followed by that, we have to see the splay. So what is the mean of splay? The splay means is a deviation with a normal agglomeration filtration rate of the 120 milliliter per minute, and is a TMD is a tubular maximum of our glucose 375 milligram per minute in adult male. Predicted expected the renal threshold of glucose should be the 300 milligram per deciliter, but actually it is only 180 milligram per deciliter. When the renal threshold, the curves are drawn by using these values. This actually curves deviator from the should be the predicted ideal curve. This type of the deviation is called as a splay. The splay is because of the fact that all the nephrons do not have the same filtering and as well as the reabsorbing capacities. So that is a reason there is a splay with reduces. So that is the main reason we are going to see about this. There is a splay, which means there is a deviations. So here there is an actual threshold, it is present there, and here there is a predicted threshold. So here there is a tubular maximum glucose. So this graph have to be show how there is a reabsorption of the glucose which takes place in the proximal conductive tubule. So next we are going to see the other substances. So what are the other substances which is reabsorbed in the tubular areas? So here I mentioned about the amino acids. So the value which is reabsorbed is a proximal conductive tubule. So what type of the transport will be takes places here? So this is the active transport, or is called the active reabsorption. The amino acids are also reabsorbed completely in the proximal conductive tubule, as well as be actively a secondary active transport mechanism along with the sodium. So next we are going to see about this bicarbonate reabsorption. So reabsorption of the bicarbonates will be actively present and actively absorbed, and it actually presence in the proximal conductive tubule. It is absorbed from the carbon dioxide. So bicarbonate is mostly present as a sodium bicarbonate in the filtrate. Sodium bicarbonate is dissociated into the sodium and bicarbonate ion in the tubular lumen. Sodium is diffuses into the tubular cells in exchange of the hydrogen. In the tubular cells, carbon dioxide combines with the water to form the carbonic acid. It immediately dissociated into the hydrogen and bicarbonate, and bicarbonate form the tubular cell enter the interstitium. Then it's combined with the sodium to form the sodium bicarbonate. So by this way, it is going to be reabsorption takes places in the proximal conductive tubule by the active reabsorption. So next we are going to see about the water. So water which is present is the proximal conductive tubule, and there is a distal conductive tubule and collecting tank. by the passive reabsorption. Water reabsorption actually the distal converted tubule and the collecting duct that occurs in the actively antidiuretic hormone. Normally the distal converted tubule and the collecting duct are not permeable to water, but in the presence of the antidiuretic hormone ADH, okay, these segments become the permeable to water, so it is a reabsorbed. So, what are the mechanisms of the ADH? So, antidiuretic hormone increases the water reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubules and the collecting ducts by stimulating the water channels called as the aquaporins. So, antidiuretic hormone combines with vasopressins receptors in the tubular epithelial membranes activates the adenyl cyclase to form the cyclic AMP. The cyclic AMP activates the aquaporins which increase the water reabsorption. So aquaporins are the membrane proteins which function as water channels through about the 10 aquaporins are identified, the only 5 are found in the humans. So I hope you understand. So this amino acids, bicarbonate as well as the water. So these all be just reabsorption will be takes places in the different areas, but the amino acids will be actively reabsorption and bicarbonate also will be actively reabsorption be, and water there is a passive reabsorption. Next, we are going to see the tubular secretions. Actually the tubular secretion is the process by which the substances are transported from the blood into the renal tubules. It is also called as the tubular excretions. In addition to the reabsorption from the renal tubules, some substances are also called as the secreted into the lumen from the peritubular capillaries through the tubular epithelial cells. So the diphenoltrate was the first substances found to be secreted in the renal tubules in the experimental condition. Later, many other substances were found to be as a secreted, like as a substance or transporter from the substances like the para aminohippuric acids and diastrust and penicillin amino derivatives. So these are the substances later on they are going to be found and be secreted from the tubular part. So substances are secreted the different segments of the renal tubules. For example, there is a potassium being secreted actively with the sodium potassium pump in the proximal as well as the distal convoluted tubules as well as collecting duct also. And hydrogen ions are secreted in the proximal and distal convoluted tubule, and maximum hydrogen secretion occurs in the proximal convoluted tubules. And urea is secreted in the loop of Henle. So the urine is being formed as a nephron by the process of the glomerular filtration, selective reabsorption, and the tubular secretions. I hope you will understand. So there is a what is the tubular reabsorption and what is the tubular secretion. I have to tell about this overview of the tubular reabsorption as well as the secretion. So tubular reabsorption is nothing. So this is a simple thing we have to easily to understand. So tubular reabsorption. So we have a substances by the filtration. It is a filter from the blood towards the renal areas. Okay, so whenever there is a need, whenever there is a essential, whenever there is a need in our body, so if there is any decrease, for example the glucose level is going to be decreases, for amino acid derivatives or amino derivatives going to be decreases. So these are things is going, these are substances will just decreases in the body, so it will be just a take back from the renal part. So actually it is filtered by the blood only, but whenever there is a it will be just necessary, if there is essential it will be need by the body, so it will be just take back by the renal system. So that's the reason we have to study about the tubular reabsorptions. So and at the same time we have some secretions will be there. So that's why we seen about this one, the tubular reabsorption, the sum of the substances only is going to make the reabsorption. So the remaining part is going to be just excreted by the urine. So here we seen about this, what are the substances. So glucose, amino acids, uric acids, and so these are things is going to, we are going to be take the reabsorption takes places. So remaining part is going to just excreted in the urine parts, which means the unwanted materials. So these are going to be excreted in the by the urine. So now we are going to be, along with that, we are going to see about the tubular secretion. The tubular secretions is a nothing but the actually is going to be, there is a, we seen there is a reabsorption, at the same time there is a, some secretion which just takes place in the tubular part. So that secretions, so what are the secretions will be there? So how it will be just transported from the blood into the renal tubules. So that's one we seen this one. So we see this, what are the secretions, what are the substances which is present there. So like is a para aminoic acids, a diatrust, and hydroxy acetic acid, and amino derivatives penicillin. So these are the substances will be takes places. So these are substances will be secreted in the different segments of the renal tubules. That's also we see. So I hope you will be understand. So what is the tubular reabsorption? The question we used to ask about is the tubular absorption or tubular reabsorption and tubular secretions. So just go through that. If you have any doubt, please just comment here, comment down, and if you have any doubts, any queries, any clarifications, then you can free to ask. So I hope you will be understand the topic. Thank you.